We're back with the first episode of Regarding Music that we've done in quite a while. It's been a few months. I'm here with my buddy Matt Hardy. We're going to talk about double bass because Matt is a double bass player. Guilty as charged. You're also one of the first people we had on the podcast, like way back. So I was like, Matt's going to have to be one of the first people I get in this new format.
Yeah, I'm alumni.
So for those who haven't listened to that episode that we did before, like, take us away with like an introduction, like about the work you do, your background, and who you are as a musician.
For sure. Thanks for having me on again, Eric. Pleasure, as always. So my name is Matthew Hardy. I'm a musician, a composer, an arranger. I should say recently composer. I mostly do arranging, a lot of arrangements, but have recently done a bit more composing. My background is in double bass performance. I did an undergrad here in town in St. John's at Memorial University and a master's at McGill, studying with Ali Yazdanfar, the principal bass player of the OSM, the Montreal Symphony. And now I'm back in Newfoundland doing a bit of teaching, a bit of performing, all sorts of stuff, really. I really love to put on shows. As you know, Eric's been to my Tibbs Eve
Matt puts off a great Christmas concert. Top tier.
Yes.
So what have you found to be like, when you're performing, right, or practicing in a university setting as a performance major, right? You're responsible for yourself and your own skills and your own development. But as soon as you organize anything, right, what I found, with the choir stuff, it's one thing to be like, oh, I can compose and sing and know things, but, getting it so that how do people come to my rehearsals? Like, are people reading the emails I'm sending? Like the stuff that is boring, that isn't necessarily like musical skills, but management skills that are like, critical, that they don't really teach at music school necessarily. Like, how have you found that?
Well, I was thinking about it a little bit today. You're right. It's not kind of directly taught in music schools, but I would say as performers, you learn a lot of these soft skills that end up informing you and assisting you as you go about organizing these things. Like, as a performer, I have to show up on time. I need to be prepared. I need to have whatever resources I need to do my job as a performer. And these are the sorts of things that are going to come into play when it's, do my musicians have the resources they need? Do they know where they need to be? So I'd say a lot of us, maybe yourself, I'm not sure about yourself, but a lot of us can feel imposter syndrome when beginning this process of doing it for the first time, because we feel that we don't have these skills.
Yeah.
I think if we have a little bit of confidence in ourselves,
100%.
we have them a lot more than
100%. Like, when I first started with choral conducting, like, I felt like I was lying every time I told someone I did that, right? I felt like it's like, oh, I didn't do a master's in that, right? I kind of just went and, okay, you do one rehearsal, you learn something. You do another rehearsal, you learn something. And over time, that kind of snowballs into, okay, I actually, know what I'm doing now. And people like working with me, which is what actually matters when it comes to organizing stuff. But 100%, like, when I first started out, I tell people like, oh, I'm studying to be a choir conductor. It's totally the case for conducting. I could see it being the case for composing as well. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, if you're just writing stuff at home, cooking stuff up on your own, being like, oh, well, I'm not legit unless I get it like performed in a concert.
I didn't use 3 extended techniques, so I'm a failure, actually.
Like, most of the compositions that I write would not do well in a composition class.
Well, exactly.
Like, they wouldn't do well in it at all.
You do a lot of like historical writing as well too, for choir as well, kind of periods kind of.
It's more traditional, right? Like, it's put it this way, no one in a church service, right? Because most of the music that I compose for is for the church choir that I sing in and work with, right? It's super practical. Like, we have we're in Lent right now, so we have a lot of music that we're working on for Easter, right? Mm-hmm. Important down the road, so you want easy things like now, between now and then. So being like, oh, all right, like a unison communion setting that we can sing then, and it'll be easy for us to do. I can write it for, okay, I know that we've got a great tenor section. We'll give them the solo kind of thing and tailoring it to your group. But like, no one wants to hear like extended vocal techniques or like super post-tonal stuff in the church service. Like,
he's definitely seen in those composition classes.
No, no, but this is the thing though, like in the classes, right? The academic setting versus like, the church setting or the downtown, jazz bar setting kind of thing, right? Like, and yeah, I think that it's easy to feel like I need to do like the university route as a composer.
Well, when you do go through composition school, they kind of have to teach that certain curriculum, and you are encouraged to do new things. And I think there's value to that, certainly, but people definitely miss out on, getting to pursue what really interests them. And sometimes a major chord is really beautiful and that interests you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But,
Yeah, and I also think getting back to what's going to be the vibe of this performance, right? It's, you take a major chord, if that's sung by a choir that blends really well, right? And a great acoustic, like no one's going to be like, oh, this wasn't experimental enough for me, right?
Exactly. I've definitely had it playing, contemporary music ensembles. You invite your friends that may not be so musical, just trying to support you, and they are trying their best to come up with some sort of compliment.
Like, it was good.
It was interesting. It was,
Oh, man.
I think, so.
I learned something new. But, like, what you did say, though, because, like, I've traditionally been, like, probably too much of a hater of, like, that avant-garde stuff. Yeah. Like, it is valuable to know, like, and I feel like there are elements of post-tonal theory and stuff that you can work into more traditional stuff. Like, I do. You could, particularly for what I do, you can work more experimental things, say, into like an organ accompaniment, right? Yeah. So the singers are singing something easy, right? And the organ's doing something more experimental, say, right? But like the thing is, though, like that's just like, good writing, I guess, right?
Sure. Knowing what you're writing for, who you're writing for, where you can take those liberties. I feel like I've been doing a lot of kind of vibe-based post-tonal writing lately because, again, I didn't go through composition school. I did theory courses and some basic arranging through my undergrad, but never did any proper composition courses. And so lately, when I wrote this score for this short film that you actually helped out with, it's really a tonal piece. When I started writing it, I really wanted to write something kind of avant-garde and out there because the work is a little bit avant-garde out there. The filmmaker based it off of French New Wave style, which is like a French style from the 60s, I think. And it's black and white, and it's the story leaves a lot to be interpreted.
Right.
And there's not a lot of dialogue. And as a matter of fact, I believe there's no, like the characters speak at certain points, but they're not really speaking to each other.
Right.
So I really wanted to create something jarring and uncomfortable that to me I felt atonality could support. Yeah. Now, tonality is my love, and I ended up finding my way back there, just writing things that spoke to me. But like I said, using this kind of vibe-based sense of like, oh, well, this chord is really beautiful, but what if I just put this cluster here? Or what if I just, have this major seventh or this tritone? I mean, these are simple ideas.
Yeah.
I think that's also an interesting way to go about it.
No, I actually love this because I feel like that's something that I feel like we don't talk enough about in composition, right? Thinking about, okay, what am I going to do theoretically, right? What am I going to do structurally? We don't really, what's the vibe,
exactly,
right? And other than like it's happy or sad, right?
Sure.
And in choir music especially, like text setting, right? It's essentially the same sort of idea, right? Like you've got a text, and like part of what gets me going about writing choral music and doing, choral performances is bringing texts to life.
Yeah.
Right. And doing a more, post-tonal vibe like you're talking about, could be the solution, but it's also like you get in there and you're getting ideas, the wheels are turning, and you're like, okay, well, what has worked for me before and could work here now, right?
Having a choir to like, I feel like you're in a great place where you can kind of experiment with that, and having a group to work with, that's a really a lucky position to be in that I know a lot of people wish that they could have.
Well, the thing is, it's like, I'm sure that you know this. I'm sure that no pun intended, I'm preaching to the choir on this part. In that it's like really, especially if you're not in the academia scene, which honestly most people aren't, who aren't like students.
Yeah.
Right. It's like you're either a student for like ever, or you're a prof. Like there's no in between. There's no like, I'm just an artist doing my thing.
I guess
right?
It's kind of more like academic musical circles.
you know, you've got a choir, right? And people have to go to it, right? Or they're gonna like not pass the course kind of thing. So it's like, you know, you can like roast people for being late. I can't do that. Not because I'm not good or I don't
have to appease.
or I don't have authority. It's like I want people to want to do this.
Exactly.
And it's like, you know, if I'm like organizing, like I did a Christmas concert back in the a few months ago, right? You know, we put together, I think we had like 16 or 17 singers, and we put that group together from me like DMing my friends on Instagram.
It's a different situation when you're rounding up friends and kind of getting you know, people doing favors for you, which is oftentimes, you know, we like to help each other out. So it's amazing that you're able to get those musicians together.
And you as well, right? I mean, we'll go. I feel like we haven't gotten into the details of what this took for this recording that we're talking about, because I mean, you had a pretty significant group put together for that.
It was, and this was a volunteer project, which was very uncomfortable for me to do. I really I find it's kind of I think it's a different thing with when you're working with instrumentalists and musicians. Sorry, not musicians, instrumentalists. Not that. That's the wrong thing. If you sing, you are absolutely a musician.
Not all of them. I've worked with some who it's debatable, you know.
Well, but you know, with all my friends who are just such incredible musicians, and I want to, you know, I guess my background coming from this is that we've all done so many crappy gigs, to be frank, gigs that weren't enjoyable, things weren't communicated well, and they weren't paid, or they weren't paid well. So I always love to, if I can, well, actually in my experience, I've basically always paid musicians until this moment, which was a big volunteer project.
And I think that's kind of also one of the differences between like instrumentalists and singers, right? Very few choral things are paid.
Well, yes, certainly
very
here
few
in St. John's. Very few are paid, and if they are, it's not.
It's not a lot. Unless the only thing really that you'll get paid for, I actually think the only paid thing that I know of in town is church stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
You know, which is a good deal, but it's still not enough money to like stick it out if you're not having a good experience.
Yeah, it's just church stuff or the occasional freelance or the occasional show that will come up. You know, if it's a musical chorus gig or something.
But I think you touched on something good here in that it's like, even if you're paying people, right? Like no one's making enough money at these things for it to be like, okay, well, I'm employing you and you're going to have to stick it out if I'm like your shitty boss kind of thing, right?
Well,
it's like,
certainly you don't want to be anyone's shitty boss.
Well, exactly, right? You don't want to, but it's like, it's not like feasible because it's like if people don't have fun, right? They're not going to do it.
Absolutely. And I mean, presumably they're doing music because they enjoy it.
Yes.
You know? Hopefully.
It's like people should be leaving this project like more interested and excited about, well, my work, right? Or your work, like the project, but also like music, period, right? You should be like, people should be walking away from this being like, oh man, like that I had a great time. Like I'm fired up to do like the next thing, not like I've been in so many rehearsals. I will say I've had very few rehearsals where I've left like, you know, that I ran feeling that way, but I've been in many rehearsals, you know, as a singer where I'm just like, looking at the time,
absolutely.
You know, like,
not feeling inspired.
You know, not feeling the vibe. You know, well, and a big thing is like doing music that's too hard for the amount of time that we have.
Yes,
like that's a big thing with choirs. It's just like people biting off more than they can chew.
About that a lot. I have a couple friends that actually they work. They do a lot of mostly with churches, but choir singing and solo work in Toronto. And a lot of the times we hear about directors getting overzealous and programming all this repertory, and then dress rehearsal comes up, or the rehearsal before, and people say, hey, we haven't gotten to this piece, and they go, oh, actually we're cutting that. It's like, oh, well, if we could have a little more foresight.
And it's one thing to cut something, right? To be like, you know what, I feel like it's like I've been that guy before lots of times where I'm like, you know what, the way that this is fanning out, it's just like, okay, I thought that we were gonna get, you know, an alto section that could handle this part. You know, we try the piece on it, and like I feel like knowing when something is worth quitting. Right. It's not like, well, it's not even.
Sometimes things are out of your control.
Well, it's not even quitting. It's just knowing, okay, being honest about, is this worth the work?
Yeah, and do you want to put people through kind of the struggle of having to work through something that's not fully prepared. It's you want them to feel proud of
Is it worth our time to hack this?
Yeah.
Right. So like that Christmas concert that I did a few, back in the Christmas season, yes. I'm thinking, when was that? Well, it was in Christmas, there were, I wanted to do some, some trickier ones. Right.
Yeah.
Because that's what gets me excited, right? From a conducting perspective, right? Like, oh, I want to push hard and challenge myself.
Yeah.
But
meanwhile,
it's okay.
How many people are in your choir?
Well, so for that concert we had 16.
Okay.
But it's the Christmas season. You've got people who have other rehearsals, other performances, exams, getting sick. We had one rehearsal canceled because, we live in Canada and the snow, right? And then also too, I had a number of people who joined us like the rehearsal before, like basically came out for the dress rehearsal. People who ringers, right? People who I knew could hack that, right? And like I had a number of people actually who were coming home for Christmas, right? Going and studying away. And I was like, oh, hey, like, you want to come out and sing with the group? We're just doing some Christmas carols, right? If I were doing harder music, I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to do that. But also, too, like, there was a lot of stuff that were trickier that we could have done with that group. Like, that group could do. Mm-hmm. But is that optimal, right? If we're coming together trying to be like, we want an hour-long performance, is it worth it, right? Could we go and learn like 2 or 3 easy ones with the same amount of like rehearsal time and energy and get more out of it on the concert end, right? Like
it is definitely, you have to really take it into consideration what's going to be the best kind of combination. And I mean, ultimately, like, you probably don't want a program that's all just, terribly hard music, at the end of the day, like I'm thinking about right now, there's a chamber show I'm playing this week at Upstairs Bannerman Brewing.
Oh, yeah.
And we're doing there's a Paul Schoenfield piece called Cafe Music. We're doing the first movement from. I'm playing a cello part, actually. And it's quite, I'm playing it all up in the register, so it's all thumb position. Like cello register, right? So I'm basically reading an octave higher.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly challenging, but very satisfying and a lot of fun to work through. And there's a couple other pieces that I had to kind of decide that I was going to play. And ultimately, me and Ben Diamond decided to rehash this waltz that we played for my graduating recital at McGill. This is a very simple, beautiful piece, a waltz, Natalia it's called, also waltz, I'm going to mess this up now. The Natalia is one of the names for it. This very kind of simple, kind of Latin waltz. And but then also, so it's nice to have a balance, because also I think the listener appreciates that too. Like a demanding piece is going to demand a little bit more from the audience as well. So to give them a little bit of a break and pause.
And it's like people like things that are good, right? And it's easy to like, and like hottest take, people like stuff that's good, right? Yeah. But it's true though. It's like most of the time, like especially for people who are like not musicians, who are like, I'm just going out to this because it's gonna be nice, right? Like again, I've been in so many like services, choir concerts where we've done things that are like ridiculously hard, and I'm sitting there thinking like, does like my mom understand how much work this took? Right? No. And and that's not like a judgment of audiences. Like that's a judgment of people of us like not using our time well, in rehearsal.
It's making me think too for Masterworks 3, the last big Masterworks show we did with the you were at that one.
I went to that.
And we did the Prokofiev cello concerto.
See it.
And that piece was very fun, especially the cello part was very challenging. The bass part wasn't particularly difficult, but as an ensemble work, it was very demanding and required a lot of rehearsal, and it was quite a long piece. And I loved playing it. It was very active, so like the bass part was very active, so I was very didn't have a lot of time to get bored, but it was quite a long piece. I think it was almost an hour long.
Yeah.
And I heard a lot from a lot of the audience members, even though they enjoyed the cello. The solo, they did find it was just a lot to to take in, and I think that length really made it difficult for a lot of people.
So I have, and I feel like this ties in so well with the point that we're both making here. You know what I was doing during that concert? Because I was at that concert and I had a great time at that concert.
What were you doing?
I was like drinking multiple of the specialty cocktail and just vibing.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect way to enjoy percussion.
And I'm like, this could have been anything. Like this could have been something easy.
Yeah.
Right. Right. I remember when I was in England. Yeah. I went to this lecture, like this talk about diction in choirs, because it's like something that we focus on so much, right? And I feel like
it's on so much, and yet I still can't hear what you guys are saying.
Well, this is the thing, right? There's been like academic work, like studies done on this, like what like percent of enjoyment does diction contribute to a concert? Most people in choir concerts and in church services just go and vibe. Like, is it good? Like,
I don't know if these studies take that into account, but I would say that's one of those things where people probably just it's one of those things of normal audience members probably don't notice diction and appreciate it.
Yeah.
But they notice when it's done poorly.
Yeah.
Like thinking of the ends of words.
100%.
Exactly.
Right? You know, like really obvious stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like consonants, sure, but it's like if you're singing like a Latin piece and it's like your vowels are a little bit anglicized, like okay, you know, like
yeah.
You know,
probably it's helping you hit that.
There's going to be there are going to be people who vehemently disagree with that take. Not that singing isn't physical, it's different than playing bass. Well, right? Like it's a different like I feel like singing is just a more natural, like I can sit down and sing. Of course. Yeah. Whereas you need to know how to stand up and like it's a more physical thing I found from my experience of doing both.
I mean, the double bass is an incredibly physical instrument.
Yeah.
It literally morphs our bodies, as do all instruments, but the double bass in particular, I saw this really funny kind of meme on like Instagram the other day of just someone describing the ways that it changes your body. It's like your hands become clamps and your shoulders contort.
You get the double bass muscle.
You get the double bass muscle.
Double bass muscle in the thumb.
The farmer muscle.
You know, I don't like singing doesn't change my thumb muscle.
Well, as a matter of fact, I actually had to try really hard to reduce my thumb muscle in my masters. Well, not reduce it, but it has been reduced because my thumb was massive. It was just this large. It was huge. It was like,
do you have like a medical issue?
It was like a lump. It was
oh
crazy.
My god!
Because I was really I'm as you know and have mentioned before, I'm a German bow player. So for me, my thumb is on the top of the stick of my bow, and I was really pushing hard with that to get the pressure I needed for the sound I wanted. Yeah. And it was making my thumb massive, but it was causing all this tension. So I had to really think about setting up my thumb in a way where I can pronate my arm and lean the weight of my arm and use the muscles in my back to support my arm rather than just using my thumb. But yeah. It is true. Your thumbs do get bigger, but personally, I'd warn against your thumbs getting too large. It was an issue for me.
See, the big issue I had, you know, I guess you can probably get a picture of this from the video, but like I am a short king, right?
Same.
You know, I'm like, I tell people that I'm 5'8". I'm really more like 5'6". That's right.
I tell people I'm 5'11".
And like wrapping around the bass into thumb position, you know, it was always something like if I practiced too long, like I was always stretching like my lower back.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and in a way that like my teacher was always like, Eric, like that doesn't look natural, type of thing, right? And you know, I found that like I needed to think about, you know, that type of.
You were playing standing.
Yeah, and then I switched to playing sitting because of that. Right?
I would say that would help for you,
right?
Getting over.
You know, but like I've never needed to really think about physicality, right? And like, you know, my thumb muscles and like injuring my lower back singing, right?
It's interesting because I hear like I know that like at least opera singers, they do think about that quite a bit.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
I don't. So I'm maybe those things are.
I'm talking from a choral singer's perspective, right? Like,
but I'm sure you still think about those things as well. Maybe not as active.
Yeah, you know, and it's like
you're probably not singing like this.
No, but I feel like the way that I guess you deal with that as a choral conductor, right? Like you're not gonna micromanage everyone's like stance. There are some people who do that.
I mean, you probably lead by example.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. You know? No, but the way that you deal with that is like, you know, when you're doing your good run through, you have them stand up, right? You know, you have them stand up. Or the big one, like the big one is people singing into music.
Yeah, or do you find people like,
People singing into music, right? And that's not so much that it's like, oh, like you're gonna be injured if you do that type of thing. Like it's not that.
you're long enough?
Sure, yeah.
And I don't know.
You're gonna have to get like a standing desk, right? No, but if you're like this, sounds going down into the music, so you might say, all right, choir, like let's up, right? But that's not like necessarily because it's like the proper technique. That's just because like I guess it is. It's a technique to choral singing.
Yeah, it's just having good posture. Leaving. I mean, this is me talking out of my ass a bit.
It's a podcast. Like that's what we're here to do. We're here to do that.
Like your posture in general. You want to have a straight spine. I think that's what people say. Right?
Well, I think the big thing is like. And again, there are probably like I'm a choral singer. Like we're not talking about like operatic people. Like I'm not one of those, right? We're talking about singing in like community choir, church choir. It's more important that people are natural and like feel comfortable with what's going on than like you're gonna be like this for the correct posture.
That's true, because there's a big issue with overcorrecting too.
Yeah.
Like I think for many years, a teacher pointed out to me that I was extending my lower back when I was sitting I was trying to correct falling with my shoulders forward. So I kind of overcorrected and it was kind of pushing too much. So there's totally, it's that's a great point is that in whatever you're doing musically, physically, like you should be comfortable doing it.
Yeah. And that also ties in with, it's like you want people to be comfortable, you want people to have fun, right? It's like, and again, this is one of my hottest takes about choir coming in here. I hate vocal warm-ups.
Oh yeah.
I hate them. I never do them. Like
really?
I never do them.
Why?
So, and this is philosophical, right? It's about to get philosophical on it. I warm up, but I warm up with the easiest thing we have to sing.
Okay.
Right? Or with a passage from something that we're going to do, right? I'm never like, okay, let's sing a scale, right? Like let's sing a septatonic scale, right? Or go me 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 me, going up me 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 me. Like I don't do that.
Yeah.
Because it's like we're dealing with right? Like we're dealing with adults.
Yeah.
Right? If you need to do that, which realistic
kind of like more hobbyists, I guess.
Yeah, but it's also too like if you need to do that, you can do that on your own in the car on the way down outside of the rehearsal.
If you have
right?
That, yeah.
If that's something that you feel like you need. I don't usually go into rehearsal being like I need that. But the way to do it, especially for church choir, warm up with the hymns.
Yeah.
Right? Be like we're gonna sing the hymn in unison, and we're just gonna sing this tune together. All right, now we're gonna do it with our parts. Right? Like.
Is that like what makes that warming up rather than just starting rehearsal?
No, well, this is the thing, right? Is we're starting a rehearsal, but it's the way of managing the rehearsal. It's knowing like, all right, we're starting out.
Yeah.
We're still going to work. We're going to do productive things. We're going to like, sing like the actual music that we're going to do. Yeah. It's just, we're going to do it in such a way that's conducive to like, it's the first thing we're working on at the rehearsal.
Sure. Yeah, I've kind of more of like warming up into like the rehearsal state rather than like physically warming up.
Yeah, like I've been in choir rehearsals where it's like, all right, choir, we're gonna do some jumping jacks, and I'm like, bro, like do you even lift?
See, I actually kind of like that. I'm like, I in the National Youth Orchestra. Oh yeah, and we were studying with Etienne Lafrance, who's this amazing Quebecois double bass player who is principal of the Quebec Symphony. Actually, I'm not sure if he's still at that position, but very prolific double bass player, really sweet guy. And we would start every double bass session with physical warm-ups, and he gave me this excellent back stretch that I still do to this day. And we would always do helicopters, as he would say, these big arm swings, and I love it.
See, I feel like I'm going to kind of walk back a little bit of what I said about not doing the physical stuff. I feel like there's no in between. There's like, we're not doing it, or it's like, all right, choir, drop down and like, we went flat there, drop down and give me 20, right? And if you can't hack that, you're not in this. Yeah, get out. I feel like if we did that, it's like, all right, what are we gonna do for our warm up? Burpees,
Well, I'm sure that's probably. I mean, yeah. Oh man, I'm not a singer by any means, and I can't really speak vocal warm-ups.
Yeah, there are definitely people who do, like Actually, probably the only person I know, like IRL, who has that
I
take.
feel like they have to be good for you.
Yeah. Oh, they probably are. I'm just like, it's also too like my selfish nature as a conductor. I'm like, I want to get the maximum value out of our time together, right? Like,
Absolutely. And like, you know, like you said, like you're a working choir. You have to do your services. So it's like you need to be able to do the music, and you know, so
yeah. Well, in any rehearsal, it's like we've got a job to do.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, my job is to make sure that we get things done, because if we don't, nobody's gonna have a good time. Right. Like I've been in rehearsals, like hour-long rehearsals, where we spend like 20 minutes warming up.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, but why would we do that?
Yeah, it's like, could you just told me like at 10:20 I could have showed
I
up.
could have just skipped this. Like I could have just done it. Now there are probably lots of people who will disagree with me on that. Like that's a decently hot take.
Probably a lot of people, like maybe they like, especially people that aren't like musicians as their main thing, might not have places that they feel comfortable warming up.
Yeah, that's fair.
Where they can, like,
that's
other
fair.
than like the car, but even that's a little bit,
Dude.
you know, like warming up. I just,
Do you sing in the car?
oh, absolutely.
I was singing in the car like before this.
I'm a little bit unabashed about it, but I imagine most.
Dude,
well, actually, that being said, no, I do get a little bashful when I'm jamming out and someone walks by and I'm like,
and the thing is, like, the music that I do is choir, church music, pretty traditional.
that's the stuff you're singing to.
Not in the car. No, man. I was listening to like, you know,
the car
like dude.
Fortuna.
No, I was blasting like the Jonas Brothers.
New or old?
Old. Burn it up,
No, I'm burning.
dude. Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm interested in two kinds of music.
Yeah.
Old traditional choir music and like music from like 1995 to 2009. Everything else, just you miss me with it.
That was incredible. I was like so into them as a kid, but I wasn't able to tell anyone because it was not cool
Dude,
to like them as a
Oh
young
my god.
boy.
I have a really funny story actually about the Jonas Brothers and music camp.
Yeah.
So I went to music camp when I was in grade 6 at a camp called Camp Wanakita in Ontario, which was the camp where they filmed Camp Rock.
No shot. You know, you said that name, and then I was
They
like,
filmed the Camp Rock there, and this was like the year after they did it. So like all of the camp staff like knew the Jonas Brothers and like Demi Lovato, and like we're there like eating breakfast, right? We're there eating.
this is where that girl did.
They're like yeah, like they're like Nick Jonas like danced on that table, and like, you know, I'm like 12. I'm like, yeah, that's not cool. You know. Yeah, so that's my like little connection to the Jonas Brothers. They're like, you know, you did like the school camp at like the place where they did Camp Rock, like right after they did it.
I grew up in Ontario as well, and
Oh, I forgot that as well. We're in Ontario.
in Ottawa, but not
yeah.
in the city. It was in we were in Stittsville.
Oh yeah, I was in Oakville.
Oh yeah.
Oakville, GTA.
Yeah, no, but I remember hearing that about Camp Rock. That's really funny. You actually went there.
I once, yeah,
I would have been starstruck just at the place.
just going and telling people I went to Camp Rock.
That's
Oh my god. All right, so for the inaugural performance that we're gonna have on regarding music, now that we're doing these as videos, Matt, he's gonna play this bass. He's gonna have a look at it. We don't have any rosin though.
just saying that
We discovered.
the space is really beautiful. I really love the sound. But I am not a French bow player, and we are.
We're slipping and sliding a little bit here, but what are you gonna play for us here, Matt?
I think I'm gonna try and play a little bit of Otello for us and Verdi.
Okay, yes.
See how this sounds.
Let's have at her. the no rosin squeak, Matt.
Anyways, beautiful bass. Thanks for letting me play it.
Thank you for playing it, and thank you for coming. This has been a great discussion. It's been a pleasure to have you on back on the pod.
Pleasure to be back.